Quick! Everyone to their panic stations. The Rangers' hypothetical fire sale on captains led to a continued icy slide. The Canucks are battling injuries, and they seemingly prefer to have those battles on the road. And finally, kids these days. A number of NHL rookies are soaring. But are we finally seeing a proper sophomore slump from Bedard? Welcome to the BarDown Podcast presented by Crown Royal. Gentlemen, welcome back in. Jesse, welcome back in. You were out of town last week.
Thank you. Yeah. First of all, before I get into that, I got to say, Z, I think these are really becoming the best part of the podcast. These intros.
Oh, okay.
They're quite nice. They set the mood. Yes, I was at CHL Top Prospects first in the U.S. Right? They changed the format this year.
First time they did it, right?
It was great. You could actually feel it in the first period, right off the bat. First shift, Caleb Denwye, I forget who it was, and someone on the U.S. Exchanging like jabs at center ice.
So chippy, right away.
Oh yeah, it was personal. You could tell. And these are guys that have probably played against each other now for a few years, starting from, I don't know if there's like U16s or whatever, or I mean Hlinka goes back to Hlinka, and yeah, there's bad blood there. So it was really nice, but it's good to be back in the room.
All right. Well, it's good to have you back in the room because we mean business today with our panic meter. It's the internet's favorite thing to do, doing a panic meter because we're all so original, I must say. If you just Google that right now, you might find 12 other places doing it, but clearly you wanted to hear these group of 4 people discuss this for whatever reason. I don't know why, but hey, we're happy you're here. Thank you. Why don't we just get right into it, and we'll just get started with panic meter topic number 1. Are you ready? And that is the Oilers' lack of secondary scoring. No surprise, Connor McDavid still doing his thing. Not necessarily to his usual all-time pace, but he's Connor McDavid. But the secondary scoring, Luca.
What are our panic meter?
That is a great question.
Yeah, before I give how panicked I am.
You know what? Here, let's go over this one more time. We got to go over the panic meter. Otherwise, no one has any idea what they're doing here, because we definitely do otherwise.
How are they going to know how panicked we are?
So we got neutral. We got neutral right in the middle there. Just kind of need to see more. Then there's at ease on the good side of things. Positive signs. Then we got full chill, which this was made before that chill guy meme came in.
Oh, that's
guess you can just slap him in there if you want.
Yeah, I was thinking Cole Palmer when you said that. Like I was gonna.
I
go like
wasn't.
This,
Which meme is this?
but
The chill guy.
Is that
the chill guy?
the dog?
It's the dog, and it's just got his hands in his pocket.
It's like you.
People
You would
just
be
do
like,
it everywhere.
I'm just a chill guy who likes watching the Olympic Jets.
Yes.
You know, it's all right. I don't think it's its favorite meme, but it's there. Worried is on the other side of that neutral. Bad signs. And then we have full panic. So the secondary scoring for the Oilers, as they're still trying to climb their way up the Pacific Division, are you in any way panicking, Luca?
I'm kind of neutral at the moment, and it's honestly because I watched them on Saturday against the Avs. They beat the Avs, and with McDavid and Draisaitl and how well they're playing, I'm not worried about them getting back to the playoffs. I do think that what they are missing, obviously, is like Zach Hyman's 50 goals. Like that needs to come from somewhere probably for them to make a deep run. And I think in a 7-game series against, I don't know, pick anybody, but like in a 7-game playoff series, you're going to need more than McDavid and Draisaitl, but those two can, as we saw many times, win you a 7-game series. So that's why I'm kind of neutral. But I think I can understand why people might be panicked about this a little more than neutral, because you need other guys to step up. And last year was Zach Hyman having those 50 goals, having an amazing playoff run. This year, Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson were brought in to be those guys, and they have been okay. Like, obviously, production-wise, hasn't been there. I'm sure they're still trying to find their spot in the lineup, and I think playing with guys like McDavid and Draisaitl takes some time. Like, it doesn't just happen instantly like that. So when Zach Hyman comes back and when he's healthy, maybe he gets back into that scoring form and he ends up with 30 goals this year, and it's not a problem. But I definitely do think that there's reason to be panicked, but because they have those two players, I'm not as panicked as I would normally be.
So traditionally, there's always that thing where teams that go really deep into the playoffs and then, maybe they slump at the beginning of next year because everyone, just assumes that they're waiting to play meaningful games, and they show up for those big ones, and they're just kind of concerned with the playoffs. There's a number of teams that kind of fit that billing, obviously. You can go ahead and just put the Panthers, the actual cup winners, the Oilers. You'd think of that as the Rangers were kind of deemed that at the beginning of the season and whatnot. But amongst those teams, perhaps, of like, I'm waiting to see, like, would you say you're more panicked on them than those others, though? Because I don't know, the Panthers... they're the Panthers, and I feel like there's reason, even from watching them play, that you're like, they're going to sort it out. Do you actually feel that way with the Oilers? Do you really think that they'll be just fine?
I think they
April?
proved that last year, that they'll be just fine. But they'll be just fine. And I think here's where I think that they'll be just fine, and like I guess where my confidence comes from. In the playoffs anyway, like you're cutting your lines down to 3. You need timely goals. I'd rather have like Jeff Skinners and Victor Arvidssons and Zach Hymans and Vander Kane will eventually come back for this team, I'm assuming. But those players, I'd rather have them. And even if they're not quite in form just yet, those are all skilled players that can do a lot of good in a playoff environment, as opposed to like, I don't know, name me like I'm not into the rough and tough third line. Like, those guys can actually provide depth scoring given the opportunity. Right now, it's not happening, but I wouldn't give up on this kind of collection of pieces because I kind of like it. Like, I'm a fan of Jeff Skinner. I'm a fan of Victor Arvidsson. I think they're good players. It's just taking more time than I thought it would.
Now, Thomas wrote a prompt here. I'm going to say Thomas because I'm asking Thomas a question off of this. It said the Oilers have just 2 forwards with 5 goals a year. That includes Connor?
So McDavid and Draisaitl have more than 5 goals.
And
5
that's
goals
literally
or more.
it.
Yeah.
Everyone else on the team doesn't even have 5 goals. Forwards.
He's right.
Forwards. Bouchard has 5, I believe.
Wow.
But forwards, they don't have anyone. Chicago, for reference,
They have-
has 7 forwards with 5 goals.
So
And look how that's going for them.
No, of course. But my thing is, honestly, good answer.
But that's the
My thing is,
coin
like,
flip,
guy
right?
went and was
know-
like, take your cherry pick stat. Here's the door.
Yeah.
You can leave with it.
They're just gonna need Hyman to step up because, like, as you've seen, it's like if McDavid and Draisaitl are playing at a high level in the playoffs,
You're cruising.
But we know they're going to play there.
You can.
Yeah, so it's probably too early to panic
So-
until you see them actually rolling in the playoffs.
If they go into the playoffs with just McDavid and Draisaitl scoring, they will win the cup. I'm so confident.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah. I still think they can challenge for one, though, with those 2 players. Here's the flip side of like this depth conversation. The St. Louis Blues, when they faced the Avs a few years ago, I said I was not worried about them. They can take their 9 20-goal scorers and like their whatever. That's fine. Have 9 20-goal scorers. They didn't have any of the top 25 players in hockey as those 9 20-goal scorers in the playoffs, where it gets so much harder to score, where your lines are getting cut, where these players maybe are playing a bit of a different role. Matchups matter a lot more. Things change so drastically from the regular season game to a playoff game, and I think in tactics a lot more than they do matter in the season. So like, I'd rather have McDavid and Draisaitl and whatever depth that's coming with them and whatever form they're in than 9 20-goal scorers on my team and not those game breakers that can literally take over a series.
So you're neutral. You're not panicked. Okay.
Nah,
Okay.
not yet.
Fair enough. We should have our own separate panic meter for how much, we think we're about to get in trouble with Vancouver Canucks fans when we bring up a topic. Most of the time I'm teetering towards full panic, but at the same time, we're going to talk about you now. Vancouver Canucks. I'm going to Thomas for this one. They're doing all right. They're still very much, picking their way up the Pacific, and I would say, fans are probably relatively content with how things are going over there because they also have quite a few injuries to some important players. But the thing that we're actually going over is the difference in their home record and their road record there. 3-5-3 at home, 9-2-0. One of those road wins against the Buffalo Sabres. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Where do I stand on the panic meter for this one?
Yeah, where are you?
I think I'm going to go, it's such a weird stat where I'm not so much worried by it. It's more so just caught my attention, and I think it's very intriguing. Like, you ask yourself, why is it this way? 3-5-3 at home is not good. You should be winning a lot more, especially you're on the West Coast. A lot of these teams that are coming there are moving time zones, and they're at a rest disadvantage, and I just feel like you should be winning those games. You're at a big advantage in that aspect of it. But also, on the flip side, 9-2-0 on the road is such an impressive away record that it's like, this is a really good hockey team. And I think the Vancouver Canucks are a good hockey team. I think they're a team that's going to continue to kind of come into their own as we progress throughout the season. Maybe I'm neutral. Maybe I'm a little bit more on the chill side.
Is anyone considered it's the goal horns problem? Because they definitely have one of the worst goal songs in the league. I'm just gonna go
Don't
ahead
play
and say
it.
that.
Don't play it.
It's the song from the Breakfast Club. It's good for them, and all you listen, because I already know that people are gonna hate that take, and that's fine. Because you could like your own goal horn song all you want, because it's for you. It's not for anyone else.
How does it go?
But it's just I'm never for like this. It's the Breakfast Club song.
Don't you?
Yeah. Just it's too chill.
Forget about
I don't mind
I'm never.
that.
It's always too chill. I'm
too
not.
chill.
I'm never
I
into
agree.
that kind
Just
of
like
stuff.
Hawk
agree.
right now. Way too
Yeah.
chill.
Just too
Yeah.
chill.
You're concerned about that?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Completely an unnecessary
like-
jab I've taken. It has nothing to do with the record, but I made the jab. How about you guys, though? Like, I mean, from watching the Canucks play this year, again, it does feel like the biggest qualifier there has just been, like, they have injuries to some pretty significant players, so it's hard to really kind of judge them at face value. And one of the biggest one being they haven't had their starting goalie who could be, like, the X factor on their team next to Quinn Hughes, because he is the real one. But, yeah, any concern for how things are going for the Canucks right now, or you think they're sitting exactly where they got to be?
I just think they're battling some adversity right now, and like I think there will be a time where things are only going to start to get a little better. Their scoring hasn't been like anything sensational. It's nice to see that Petey's almost back at point per game pace right now, but
Pressure's like cooled a little bit on him. The conversation of him being like, "Is this the worst contract in the league?" Like, all right.
I wouldn't be like
we're
too
down.
concerned right now if I was a Canucks fan. But I mean, do we know what's going on with Thatcher Demko? Does anyone have an update on
JT
that?
Miller as well is
Yeah, exactly.
taking a leave from the team, and like that's obviously. I mean, whatever he's going through, obviously
Goes beyond hockey.
goes
where it's-
beyond
worse.
hockey. But when you're talking about the hockey team as a whole, like that's part of the
big loss.
equation
For
now
sure.
as well.
For sure. All right.
I
Well,
will add, I watched them at home, and it was one of their wins in that 3-5-3 record, and they did not look good in that win. But a win's
what was the game?
against Chicago. They went
Chicago.
4-1. I think they
Oh,
scored
yeah.
2 empty netters.
Yeah.
It's kind of a snooze fest, but we heard the Breakfast Club song. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Thank you for the segue.
You like
either
it?
way, by the way, there. Yeah. No one. He definitely didn't like it, but or maybe he did. I don't
Z speaks for everyone when
did
he
you like it?
says.
I'm neutral.
know. Okay. Just like he was on that. Guys, we've started this rip roaring. Yeah, I'm neutral on that, on the first two things. Yeah, thanks for bringing it up, but I actually don't have any opinion on it, which is fair and level-headed.
Which is something
But
we
hey.
usually aren't.
No, we usually aren't. Will you be fair and level-headed on this next take? Jesse, we shall see. It's Connor Bedard.
Ooh.
In 23 games, he's got 5 goals. The team is still not doing well, but, no one assumed they were going to do well this year. As much as you might be looking for just signs of progress, not in the results in the standings, perhaps it was more on the ice that you would have been looking for that. But clearly that guy does not quite have a supporting cast that really fits him. But all of that out of the way, are you at all concerned with 5 goals in 23 games for Bedard?
So from what I saw in the original meter, and this is what I have in my notes.
The original meter is dead.
So,
It has been killed.
Sorry, say that one more time, just so I can.
The meter?
Yeah.
So neutral, at ease, full chill. Worried, full panic.
I'm like almost between at ease and neutral, but I'm not quite at full chill, and I'll explain why.
Okay.
I have no doubts about Connor Bedard as a player. Like, I think Connor Bedard is amazing, and everyone knows he has the skill set. What I am concerned about is the way that Chicago is building their team around him. And I'm actually looking at their. You guys know.
What's the panic meter on that then? though?
Mitch Marner to the Blackhawks.
Oh my God.
William Nylander to the Blackhawks.
Turn that into a
Austin
segment.
Matthews to the Blackhawks.
Crosby
Sidney
to the
Crosby to the Blackhawks. So
Willie actually might reconsider it.
Yeah. He signed along, but he wants the. He's gonna go.
It was a mistake.
What
Should have gone there.
what I will say though is the reason, even though it had to do with the Maple Leafs every time, I keep saying players to Chicago because they need to start surrounding him with better players.
Steelers to the Blackhawks.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised.
It'd be nice.
Just saying. And if I'm a free agent, I'm like, wow, you have to live in like this shouldn't be that complicated for Chicago. You have one of the best star players in the league, right? Up and coming. Chicago is a great city. So much to do there. And I even look at their prospect pool right now. I know they drafted 3 guys in the first round last year who are going to be good players, but if you look at players who are close to coming to the league now, Frank Nazar, who's having a really good year in the AHL right now, also a center, right? He's probably going to play center for them. And then even a guy like Oliver Moore, who's like good to me. He's not like I wasn't blown away by him at the World Juniors last year, but he's a good player. I don't think he's going to provide like a ton of offense for Chicago. I know they drafted that kid out of North Dakota last year, Sasha Boisvert, I think might be his name. He actually played for the Muskegon Lumberjacks, just a heads up.
That's a heads up because we're going to Muskegon for something you'll find out later. We promise it'll be a lot of fun.
Yes.
I can't believe they actually agreed to let us do this. It's very fun.
Spoilers!
Spoilers.
But no, I just think like Chicago, from what I saw on Puckpedia, they only have $5 million of projected cap going into next year. They need to start clearing space, and they actually have to just throw a bag at someone.
What is your panic meter on that, though, then? How they're building it? You already said it with Bedard. You're not concerned. He's Connor Bedard. He's talented. He'll figure it out once the right player's around him. But with what's around him, what's your level of panic there?
I'm a little worried, for sure.
That's not on our
Sorry.
scale.
Say the scale one more time. And what's after neutral?
I just posted
Worried
all
is
here.
on there.
Worried's on there. We got worried and we got full panic.
Yeah, I'm probably between neutral and a little worried. Look, we're in the earliest.
Can't get anyone out of neutral.
Fence sitters of panic meters.
Fine. I'll say.
Who's a good fence post sponsor we could get? And Crown Royal makes a good drink, but while we're sitting on the fence drinking that Crown Royal, who do we got? Like Rona? You got some good fence.
Rona's good.
Home Depot.
Anyways, I just think that I think that Chicago is still a ways away, and they need to clear cap space, and they need to throw a bag at someone this summer. Actually, you cannot keep Bedard with the talent that he has on that team for the next 2 or 3 years. Look at who guys look at who Sidney Crosby had when he entered the league. Even McDavid with Draisaitl. Bedard has no one.
To be fair, and then they will also be told that way eventually. It has been told that way already. The Penguins did get really lucky with that, with the fact that they had Malkin in him. But that was what made that situation so special. But you're not wrong. If they got Celebrini, for example, that would have been their version of that luck.
For sure.
Oh, insane.
Or Ivan Demidov.
Which,
Who they could have taken. But they took, what's his name, the defenseman, the tall guy?
Levchinov from Michigan State, yeah.
Yeah, and he'll be great too. And I think it's important to build on the back end as well. I just think that McDavid needs talent around him. No wonder he's not doing that.
Bedard.
Or Bedard, sorry.
We got another fence sitter here. Thank you, guys. And your level-headed neutral takes. I agree with what you're saying, by the way. It's not that. It's just,
Give me some spice.
a little spice, all right. How about we go to the Ottawa Senators for a little bit of spice? Last year, through 23 games, they had 11 wins. Weren't doing so well. Again, they were down with the Sabres. Sabres a little bit above them now. This year, through 23 games, they got 10 wins. Very similar standing, not just on wins, but just where they literally are in the standings. Have even been calls for questioning Brady Tkachuk's captaincy on that team with how things are going. Things are getting real spicy in Ottawa. But Thomas, where's your panic meter as far as the development of the Ottawa Senators is concerned?
Here we go. Go.
guys ready?
I'm geared up for something.
Is that a fence?
I think we need a hammer sponsor to just smash these fences down, because I think I'm going full blown panic.
Yeah!
Wow. Okay. There we go.
This was supposed to be the last chance. This was supposed to be the year where Ottawa was supposed to break through all the barriers that have been in front of them. This is your window to compete. You have the perfect blend of emerging superstars like Tim Stützle, Brady Tkachuk, such a good player, and then you have these veterans like Claude Giroux who are still very productive at this stage in their career, and then you go and you land a big fish in Linus Ullmark, who's supposed to solve all your goaltending, all your defensive troubles, and what progress have they made? Really none. And you mentioned the wins through 23 games. They have a couple more points this year because last year through 23 games they had 0 overtime losses. So I guess they're a little closer, but this to me, if you're a Senators fan, 5 years ago when you really committed to this rebuild, even longer than that, really, ever since they were in the Eastern Conference Final against the Penguins. At this point, you want to be where Florida is right now. You want to be where the Leafs are right now. You want to be where Boston has been through the past couple of years.
Florida's been? You think the Senators should be aiming at that? I think even
sorry, I didn't mean playoff success. I just meant in the standings right now. They're first, second in the Atlantic.
Okay. I feel like, realistically, if they were even just doing what the people thought on the high end the Sabres have been doing this year, which is okay, cool, at least winning those games you were losing before. Again, not even necessarily standings, but profile of loss. You know what I mean? There's just certain ways that these teams, they're in very similar circumstances. When they keep losing in that same way, you're just at what point do you even take that little jump in those scenarios? That's what feels, again, if I was a Senators fan, that's where I'd be more concerned, where you're not necessarily even learning those lessons that are just quintessential to even being hovering in the playoff spots, let alone with the Panthers.
Man, I actually feel that my expectations as a Senators fan would be even higher than that. Even higher than what it is with Buffalo. Like Buffalo's grinding out these wins, and I agree that it's amazing to see that they're beating these like worse teams that like they weren't normally beating. As I know we've talked about that, Z, and like that is progress. With Ottawa, it's like here's this core. You've built it all on paper. You've built it up front. You've built it on the back end. You get a goaltender. What's going on here? It's like, do we just have to accept that this whatever isn't working, or do we just keep trying to feed this machine and see where it goes?
So totally fair. Totally hear you on that. So who's a team that you would look at? And maybe there isn't like a great 1-to-1, but who's a team right now, and maybe even this year that you're looking at, you're like, that's where I would have assumed that the Senators would be.
In terms of just record and point total?
Yeah.
The Leafs?
Really?
Not
you would
not
assume like that level of battle
good,
even
but
during the regular.
I just look at
how about you
Toronto-
guys?
The building blocks of Toronto, how they had all these top 5 picks come in, and I know Ottawa never got someone as generational as Matthews.
But that's what I mean though, like, because I mean like that's a pretty big gap towards that happening. No,
He's
like
also a pretty good player. Brady Tkachuk's a pretty good player. Jake Sanderson, Thomas Chabot, like there's all these guys.
I don't mean this as a shot at the Senators. I just mean like, I don't know. That feels a little lofty. Like I feel like the Leafs on paper have more talent than that.
They do.
I don't know if it's
It's tough because I don't know if they're like, I'm just trying to think of the teams in my head. I don't know if there's a 1-of-1 comparison where, like you mentioned, you have so much of this talent, like Chabot, Sanderson, Stützle, Batherson, Tkachuk, Norris, Pinto, and then a former Vezina winner in Allmark, and then you've actually surrounded it quite nicely with your veterans, Perron and Giroux, and like on paper, like if you're playing NHL right now, NHL 25, like if you want to start a team or like be a GM of a team, Ottawa's a pretty good situation to be in with all
how about
these
the Devils
young guys.
How about the Devils?
I think that's more fair. Yeah,
It might be a fair one. Yeah.
I don't know why I was so zeroed in on the Atlantic, but I think.
Well, they're in the Atlantic.
yeah, I think the Devils is
Devils
fair.
is a good comp.
Devils
Yeah.
is a good comp. Yeah.
You know, you had young, talented players, and you just got a goalie in to really trying to help fix that scenario, which it worked for the Devils. So, but obviously has not worked for the Senators.
Yeah.
You really want to see like competitive games coming out there because you're right. Like they have such an interesting cast of young players that it's time to see them playing meaningful games. You know?
Yeah.
My whole thing with Ottawa is just like, how do you make this roster any better than it is? Realistically, your youngsters aren't really, they're at the stage now where they're starting to play their best hockey. And then also your veterans aren't getting any younger. So I just feel like at this point now, like these are your years where you got to start competing. And it's just
some of their youngsters aren't even that young anymore.
Exactly.
It's like, let's go here. Like young in the NHL, like you're seeing like 20 guys in their early 20s leading teams in the playoffs. Like we're just seeing the same thing over and over from the Sens. And it's like, come on, like something's got to give here.
Sens fans in the comments, give us a chat, Yeah. Well, maybe we'll do that for the next crowd surfing for the next podcast. What's going on in Ottawa, in your opinion? Let's move on to the very next one here. Let's move to New York.
Ooh.
So it's New York Rangers. Chris Drury comes out with that, wasn't him directly, but there were reports that came out that Kreider was on the trading block. So was Trouba, which we'd kind of heard about before, but Kreider and him being surprising there just because things were not going well. They were on a slide. That slide gets even worse. Clearly telling people that it's like, hey, you want to live in New York? You got to play better. Made it even worse. But what do you make of what's going on with the Rangers? Because it doesn't seem like their fans are happy. It doesn't feel like the way that we necessarily represented it, funny enough, last week when we were talking about it. We're like, they'll figure it out. I really do think their fans are past that point. They actually are alarmed and panicked, and they want to see a major move. Would you want to see a major move? Are you panicking, Jesse?
I'm worried for sure as a Rangers fan. No question. Not full on panic yet. But I'm definitely worried, before their win over Montreal, which was just like, whatever, they beat the Canadians. Not a big deal.
Whoa!
Sorry, Puck.
Oh. Yeah. We didn't beat the Canadians.
Yeah. Good. But like, no, they had lost 5 in a row, and you're talking about trading guys like Kreider, and I know there's been rumors about Trouba. I thought I even saw Zibanejad get his name tossed.
He's
around
always
trade
in there,
rumors.
yeah.
And it's like,
He's also in here always.
Matt Zuccarello as well, a hybrid.
I think he looks more like Zibanejad.
For sure. But like,
I'll take it.
You have I feel like the Rangers have built the best possible team that they could build right now, and it's just not working. Kreider's been a guy who's been like 30 goal, even a 50 goal scorer for you. He's been so good, and now you're dangling his name out and in trade rumors, and it's like, okay, you trade him. How do you
get that back?
How are you going to improve the team?
Who's giving that up during the year?
For sure. Like, what are you trying to do by trading some of these guys? Zibanejad, and I'm like, they go out, they trade for Riley Smith. He's getting like healthy scratched. I just feel like what more can you do right now as the Rangers and just accepting that like it's just not working. Shesterkin hasn't been very good lately at all. Quick has actually been better this year, statistically way better. But the reason why I'm not in full panic is because if you actually look at the Rangers, they're doing okay in some. They're doing like well in some areas statistically. I'm pretty sure they have the second best penalty kill in the league right now.
The penalty kills me.
Yeah.
It's a scoring that's the main concern.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. And sorry, defense, pardon me. Giving up chances, not.
Their power play is still going at like 11th in the league right now at like over 23%, which is like nice. And I feel like if there's a team that can kind of turn things around right now, the Rangers would be one of them. But they're in this weird slump. It's kind of crazy to hear that they like want to trade all these people. That is a reason to kind of panic, because then you're just like, are they panicking internally within the organization? You know, we're talking about the Ottawa Senators here, and we're talking about making moves.
Well, have you just found two trade partners? Is that what you're trying to say? Why don't you? What's something you're envisioning then? Because you just said that. So
Don't you think a guy like Brady Tkachuk would be perfect in New York?
Yeah, but like if you're the Senators, like hold on to that guy.
Yeah.
You'd be nuts.
Like,
if you're
what-
the
I don't know,
Senators
man.
You know,
to get
Steve,
rid of
that
that guy.
price
I don't know.
Look how that turned out for the Flames. Like I just mean like keep a Tkachuk.
Yeah.
No, man.
You have one,
man,
keep it.
Keep it.
I love
Try to get
Brady,
the other one.
I love Brady Tkachuk, but all I'm saying is you got to be mindful that Brady Tkachuk might not want to stay in Ottawa for that much longer.
What's left on his? I'll look it up. I guess I asked
Because
this out loud, but
even if he has term left on his contract, and I know he's the captain of the team, and I'm not saying Brady Tkachuk would do this, but I don't think it's out of the question for him. You know, people in Ottawa are starting to get mad at Brady Tkachuk about the way he's leading the team. Brady Tkachuk's probably just like, well, you know what? Maybe a change of scenery would be nice. I feel like Brady Tkachuk in New York would be flipping perfect.
but like what they'd have to give up for that, like I just don't see. I don't see them as a trade partner because, as you said, the Senators feel like they're behind in schedule, meaning they feel like they should be like in a playoff hunt, which obviously the Rangers are ahead in that, but. Getting rid of Brady Tkachuk, the Rangers are not going to give you anything that pushes you forward as the Senators, because you're going to want something now. You're not going to want more stuff in the future. You think?
Also,
Not Trouba though, because like I don't think they'd
Kreider
they
and
wouldn't.
Trouba, like that's the part of this that is just weird to me. Kreider, Trouba's advantage ad. If you're the Rangers, what are you getting back for?
I don't
players
know.
Like that?
Yeah,
because like
exactly.
in a vacuum, call them what you want, but like them at their best are solid contributing players. You're not going to get a player younger back with a lot more upside than those guys. So like, are you moving them out as part of a move to your future where you're looking at the offseason and being like, okay, if we win the playoffs this year, we win, we lose, we fall short, whatever, but we're looking at the offseason to, okay, we've got this money off the books, maybe we get some assets back for it to take an even bigger swing at another younger guy to bring in. And then the Kako situation's interesting because like him and that line have been arguably their most effective forward line with Hedl. So like I don't know what upgrades are possible and what Rangers fans maybe are hoping for, because like
Exactly.
this might just be a scenario where you have to live with this team for this year.
It feels that way, and I'm just laughing because Chris Kreider is an absolute Cy
yeah.
Young candidate this year. Nine
is
goals,
it? 9 goals, 0 assists?
That's the thing also.
Loved,
like,
honestly.
I mean,
love
that's him as a
stat
player,
line.
for sure,
When,
but,
when
like-
you see that, when you ripped it out of a pack and you saw a guy who just had no apples, you're like, I like this guy.
Hey,
Alex Newhook had that too.
Yeah,
I don't know if
you
he's
know what
gotten
he
one
gets
now,
you.
but
He gets you goals.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I feel like there could be something there between the Rangers and Sens. How do we know how much terms left on?
Sorry,
Yeah.
Tkachuk is there till 27, 28. He's there for a little bit. He's there for a while. It'd be nuts, crazier things have
I think
happened.
it would
but I
also
just don't
be
see it.
rushing. I know I just said I'm like so panicked on Ottawa, but that would just be ridiculous.
That feels like a full panic
Yeah.
move.
To me,
I-
if
that's
they
not
were
the guy
to
to look
trade,
at. That's
something
not
like
the
that,
guy to look at.
I think why I was so harsh on Ottawa is because I think at a time and this applies to the Rangers as well. You just kind of got to look at the people in the room and be like, this is our core. This is who we need to win with, and it's on us to make sure that we're getting these results. It's not on Chris Kreider's got to get traded or Trouba's got to get traded or Zibanejad. Like they have a great team.
Will
Go
Cully
out
or
and win.
whatever his name is
Well, Cooley.
dude.
He's doing well.
Second
That
on the
line,
team in
doing
points.
real well.
It's Kako, it's Hedl, and it's him, and they've
Yeah.
been unbelievable.
Hey, and that, but it's also a problem because
I
like those
agree.
guys shouldn't be your best forwards.
It's
Sure.
nice of
I
them.
mean,
It's
yeah,
nice
it's
if they're
good. It's
playing
good to
well.
have.
That's
Of
why,
course,
like,
it's
that's
good to
why I'm
have.
not that worried about the Rangers because I think they're. I don't know. I think they have quite a.
Yeah, but man,
solid
you
group
look
of
at
players.
Carolina right now. You look what New Jersey's doing in the Metro. Like you look at what Washington's doing. The Rangers are just like kind of falling behind. It's weird.
I was gonna try and picture even Kreider on the Senators. I'm sure they could certainly, make use of him, but just I don't know. It's not exactly what they would need either. Anyways, let's move on to the final.
What
team.
do they need?
again, Senators fans, let us know.
Yeah,
Let us
way
know.
better.
Put your shopping list down there, and we'll read it for the next podcast, which is actually in 2 weeks. I should say that now because we're off next week.
Is Laviolette on the hot seat?
Maybe.
Might be. In New York, your seat is always hot.
Oh, it's if it's not hot, you got a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the final team here, the Boston Bruins.
Oh.
They changed their coach. Got a little bit of a bump out of that for a little while, and then, things are kind of still relatively tepid. But how concerned would you be, Thomas, with how the Boston Bruins are sitting?
Luca.
Oh, it's Luca. Sorry.
okay.
Also,
Wow, I did the thing.
Yeah,
Where,
you did the
usually
thing.
I just axe him out of the conversation.
okay.
I will add, though, I think it's kind of funny that we're talking about all these teams that aren't playing well, and then it's just like, yeah, well, they just beat the Canadians, so that doesn't really count. They're still not really
That
playing
is
well.
funny, though,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible.
So
Have you checked
really,
the standings?
Have you checked the
Check
standings?
the standings.
Avs are in last.
Yeah, you have checked.
That's tough.
Montembois.
Not his name.
Still making
not
Four
cool.
Nations?
Goalie number one.
I never said he
Still
was.
making
I never said he was.
You were.
Well,
I don't know.
we can,
You were
yeah.
saying people were thinking about it, and we said
And I did not count myself as people.
Person was thinking
It
about
wasn't
it.
me. I don't know who it was. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
It's a good segue though. Our next podcast will be breaking down those rosters. So
Will
they
they?
get announced later this week, but
Okay.
then the next time we're back in here,
We'll discuss.
definitely break
Hey,
down
we're in
the
discussions there.
yeah. The Bruins. I'm full on panicking on the Bruins as well. I don't think there's any other way to look at this. Like, I know they got a bit of a bump when they made that coaching change. They won like 1-0 and 2-1. They still weren't scoring. So that's been the problem. And they haven't addressed that problem at all. I know Lindholm was brought in to be that scorer, and I just didn't like Vancouver acquiring him last year. I don't think he's not a player you bring in when you're looking for scoring. I think he's a very complementary piece that has the ability to make players around him better, but gone are the days, in his best days in Calgary, when he was that complementary piece, playing with really good players around him and contributing in that way, and I don't think that's who he is as a player. Marchand is just getting older, and I'm not saying he's not an effective player anymore, but I think the Bruins' decisions and them not going to address this need, and even, quite frankly, their drafting history and development history of players is finally coming to kind of haunt them a little bit this season, because it's basically the same collection of players as last year. And I think we were worried going into last season, looking at their center depth and saying, hey, like this isn't enough, despite us having confidence in them as a team, still as an organization, because I still like their defensemen. I still think this could be a scrappy team that, like, if Swayman comes into form, yeah, maybe they win a bunch of like 3-2, 2-1 games, get back into a wild card spot, and no one wants to play them in the playoffs. But
Just face the Leafs in the first round.
face the Leafs in the first round, and you're fine. But
Yeah.
I'm full panicked because I just don't think the ceiling of this team is a Stanley Cup contender, let alone maybe even a playoff team.
So pretty much what Luca was trying to say there is, how do we find a way to get Trevor Zegras and Chris Kreider on the Boston Bruins?
I don't even know if that would help them.
Well,
Zegras
they
would,
wouldn't
but
have the.
I don't know if
Zegras would be
Kreider
nice.
would.
Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah.
Kreider's scoring a 40-goal pace right now and 0 assists.
0 assists. Can you imagine? If someone went 40
I
and
hope
0,
he doesn't.
you're a legend.
I
I,
hope-
I would, like, the second, I'd be like, if you were passing, I'd be like, don't score. Don't you score.
I hope he doesn't get an assist for the entire year. That would be the coolest thing to happen.
Well, what did Marchenko have a couple years ago for the Blue Jackets? Was it
Oh, yeah.
19 goals, 2
yeah,
assists?
Yeah,
Oh,
he had a nice
legend.
Cy Young number.
Someone this year has like 0 goals and 17 assists, I'm pretty sure.
Could be,
Who's
could be
that?
Lane Hudson.
Might be someone on the Kings. I don't know. Maybe wrong.
Classic Habs fan. It's the only thing that comes out of his
Would
mouth.
be Lane Hudson. Has he scored a
Could
goal
be
yet?
Lane Hudson.
No. He just skates really cool around the net every game and does like a cool toe drag, and then the other team scores after. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Electric.
It is electric.
He's fun to watch.
I wouldn't panic about him.
No, he's really good.
Box office.
Like I'm
Full chill
kind
on
of
it.
just I'm making jokes here, but he looks
He's
like
a
a really good
beauty.
player. I also don't think he's like the next coming of Bobby Orr, like some Habs fans do, but he's very, very talented and a great player.
I was also just looking at Jimmy. It was a list of the most assists with exactly 0 goals in a season. Mike Riley in 2021 had 0 goals and 27 assists. Anyways, let's
Bruins legend.
Habs legend.
Habs
Sens legend.
Sens legend as well, yeah.
Let's move on to Don't Think, Just Tweet. But before we get to that, of course, if you're liking the video, why not give it a like? As you may or may not have noticed, you're on the new BarDown YouTube channel. Give us a subscribe. You can check out this video as well as some of the many others that we'll have coming out during this holiday season.
We got some good stuff.
Yeah, we were just filming some things last week.
Yeah, we got lots of stuff in the vault right now.
So very excited to
It's good times.
get editing on some of those ones because you're gonna enjoy them. So let's get to it. Let's get our first tweet out of the way. Jesse, it has been at least 5 minutes. In fact, you've been pretty good with this today. I won't even make my 5-minute joke. We haven't discussed the Jets in places where they shouldn't have been discussed. So now I will prompt you on them.
Not as much reason to chat about them right now,
No.
fortunately.
That being said, though, with the Jets' hot start, and I know things have kind of cooled off recently, do you still view them as a Stanley Cup favorite?
As a Stanley Cup favorite or the Stanley Cup favorite?
The.
No.
Who is? The tweet was no, by the way. I like that. That's the shortest it's been in a long time.
I feel like a tough time doubting Florida still. Like they're just always Vegas is always up there as well.
They always haunt you.
Yeah, they haunt me. Can't stand. We just lost a tough one to them. I obviously love the Jets so much. They're a great team. What they've done this year has been incredible. Like they've been amazing, but there are some issues on the team. Like we're just not deep enough defensively right now. So I suggested that the Jets will need to make moves at the deadline, and people were so like, "No, don't disrupt it. Everything's been working out." But it's like, you know what? We've seen the Jets get off to amazing starts before and then start to cool down. And then we play a team like Colorado, who's so good offensively, and they expose our defense. And I just feel like Chevy is an incredible general manager, and I have no doubt that he'll make the right moves, but he's going to have to make some moves. Like he is. We just went on a road trip. We went 2-4, and the concerning thing to me is the teams that we're losing to are all really good teams, right? Like you almost want to lose to like a couple bad teams.
So you can
be like,
be
oh,
like,
it's a bit of a
oh,
fluke.
off night.
Yeah. But-
exactly. It happens to everybody. 82 game season. But
exactly.
You want to consistently beat the good team.
Exactly. And the teams we've been losing to, Toronto, Florida, Vegas, Dallas, and two other teams that I'm just blanking on. Oh, Tampa and Nashville. Yeah, so other than Nashville.
5 of the 6 are
Good
who you'd
teams.
think they're good teams, yeah.
And you know, like losing Dylan Sandberg has been really tough, but I really think the Jets need to go out and acquire some depth at D because Dylan DeMello is awesome and he's been great and like underrated guy. But even if you kind of probably want Dylan DeMello as maybe one of your deeper defensemen on a Stanley Cup winning team, and I don't know. I just don't think we're quite the best team in the league right now.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Level-headed.
And leveled there.
Level-headed answer.
Get
know.
Zegras and
Who saw
Kreider
that
to
coming?
the Jets.
Oh yeah,
Just
no.
everyone.
Chris Kreider would actually be amazing on the Jets.
He would.
Would be a nice
Yeah.
addition.
Yeah.
Third liner. Oh,
Thomas, after another clutch Michkov OT winner and Macklin Celebrini and the Sharks' recent impressive stretch, who would you currently award the Calder Trophy to right now?
You guys are about to see some fence sitting 101 with this. Okay, no.
Really?
You're not allowed to do that in the tweets. The tweet has to have an
Then
answer.
I'll give an actual
That has
answer.
nothing to do with fences.
We're awarding the trophy right now. I would
Said.
Today.
Today, I would give it to Matvei Michkov because I think he's had bigger moments. Also, Celebrini missed time. I think Celebrini will end up winning the Calder.
It's the longest tweet in the world.
He has been so good. End tweet, send tweet. Right now, I would give it to Michkov.
These guys are
Prediction
checking for that
Celebrini.
tweet. They're checking for the tweet.
What are you checking?
I don't see it. I don't see the tweet.
I don't see the tweet.
I don't
Hasn't
see
shown up.
the tweet.
They're both incredible players. That's the fence sitting element, and I feel like this is going to be a really fun Calder race.
Yep.
And I think it won't really matter the award in the grand scheme of things because both teams are so lucky to have these guys. But I'm gonna go Celebrini wins it. Michkov right now.
You heard it here first from Thomas. The Calder Trophy does not
Doesn't matter.
That's wild.
Yeah, I don't.
That's a wild
yeah,
take.
It's a wild take.
There
Luca,
1 second. I was gonna say there might be someone else who
you looking someone up? Is that what you're doing there?
Who could sneakily make his
Yeah,
way
Dustin
into
Wolf.
the
Dustin Wolf's been
conversation?
good.
I mean, look, as we kind of discussed, the Flames are starting to slow down a little bit, and they probably will. But if the Flames can get into the playoffs somehow, like I feel like Dustin Wolf has had a pretty good year. No,
He looks really good. I just think
He stood
from a
tall
goalie,
at
like-
6 feet, by the way,
Yeah,
in that net.
he's very
You
tall.
can't say
Tall
that as
guy.
a commentator.
I don't think he'll
Talking
play enough
about him.
games
Why?
personally.
Because he's not tall enough.
Oh, okay.
Like, Dustin Wolf didn't stand tall to win them the game. He stood small.
You know what, Luca? You're up next.
All right.
pretty good, man.
This guy Jesse has just been staring at Dustin Wolf's stats on his phone. He's allowed to have his phone on the table. I mean, he should be paying attention to us, but that's okay.
You're really
all right. Let's
trying too hard to hide it.
We're almost out of here, so let's
do it.
Luca, the PWHL season is officially underway. What storylines are you most excited for after opening weekend?
A lot of good ones. Great opening weekend. Every game, other than the Toronto game, was a 1-goal game without the empty netter. Every game, 1-goal game. I think the thing that's most exciting to me, the new draft class that just came in. All of the top 5 picks had a point. Serdachny scored her first goal. Sarah Fillier, 2 assists in her debut with New York. They, I guess, kind of upset Minnesota, the Walter Cup champs. But that draft class has a ton of amazing players that are just going to make all of these teams so much better. So if you're kind of a new fan of that league, I'd watch the draft class that just came in. There's a lot of players to be excited about. Kayla Barnes in Montreal, Claire Thompson in Minnesota, Hannah Bilka with Boston, and then Serdachny, Ottawa, and Sarah Fillier in New York.
I've actually come around to the Scepters jersey, by the way, now. Having
Looks good.
Seen it on ice.
Good.
And I stand that Montreal has the best overall.
Yeah,
uniform.
I agree.
On ice, that also
I agree.
look crisp.
Watch out for New York this year. They didn't make playoffs last year, but they've got a good team.
Won't be watching out for their jersey, but
Wow.
still don't like that one as much. Team, cool, but jersey, not so
All
much.
right.
Luca, let's stay with you, because it's time for That Deserves a Crown.
That deserves a crown. Crown Royal, shout out for sponsoring the podcast. We usually do goal of the week for this, but we're going to still do goal of the week. But we wanted to highlight something else other than a goal for this segment. And I know you guys saw it. Joe Thornton's number retired in San Jose. There was a story when they did, like on the Jumbotron, they just had a bunch of their players that told stories about Joe Thornton, and like Burns was in there, whatever. Douglas Murray, legendary defenseman with the Sharks, just a role defenseman.
Habs legend too.
Habs legend too. There you go. Just hit people. That's all I remember about Douglas Murray. He told a story about Joe Thornton that he moved a homeless mother and 2 kids into an apartment and didn't want anyone to know, and like had Douglas Murray help move them in.
Wow.
And he told that story and shared that story, and just like, I don't think anyone deserves more recognition than that story. Like that, we all know Joe Thornton from like his on ice acumen and whatever, outstanding player, future Hall of Famer. But those are the kinds of things that people remember about Joe Thornton that I feel like are important to highlight. So Joe Thornton, you deserve a crown and way more for just the amazing human you are off the ice, and congratulations on your jersey being retired in San Jose.
No, absolutely.
Deserves a crown on his head and a crown on that beard.
Yeah. No,
I don't know how that would actually work. Maybe it could be just like, I don't know, something else for the beard.
Don't ask how. It just deserves a crown.
just put the crown
Yeah.
on there.
All right.
Put the crown in there. But no, that is like crazy.
What a beauty.
That's like a whole nother level of
Yeah.
just being like a good, empathetic human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The world needs more people like you, Joe. That was great.
Yeah.
Let's get to our goals of the week. We have 2 to choose from.
Wow.
I have not chosen these 2.
Okay.
I don't know who did.
That's not because they're not
This
good.
is you.
I don't know.
I actually heard they were amazing goals.
Yeah.
So let's check them out.
There,
Check them out together.
They are
I have-
some goals that you will never see. They're once in a lifetime goals.
Yeah.
And they both happen in the same week.
I'm really excited to see these.
Wait, really?
Have you not looked at them?
No, I haven't looked at them. This is my first time watching them.
Okay, here it is.
It's Kerfoot.
It's Kerfoot. Oh, this is where his hand was on the stick weird, no? Yeah. It's
Oh, beautiful goal.
not a very pretty goal, but it's
Okay.
because of how his hands were on the stick.
But watch
no?
this angle, because Kerfoot would have missed the net. And then Samsonov sliding knocks the puck up into the air, and then it falls in.
But is this not where his hand, like, am I wrong to say it's like right? If you look at Kerfoot's hand on the
beautiful.
stick, isn't he holding it weird too? That was another huge part of this.
I was honestly just more so highlighting the brutal giveaway from Samsonov. And
It's not really how goals of the
when you watch the next
Isn't gonna win goal
Not
of the week.
get
what
this
makes-
out of my
Move
face.
on.
when you watch the next goal, it's a Braden Point hat trick goal.
Zach
You'll see.
McEwen's rip from the
Way better than that
Way
one.
better
Okay.
than
No,
that.
wait.
If we're power ranking goals of the
yeah.
week, Zach McEwen is
Listen,
like.
if we were blaming goalies for the other one,
understand.
You guys don't even know what's about to happen in the next. Like, this is the nicest goal of all time.
I hope it's a lot nicer than that one.
Okay.
It's actually a beautiful.
Oh,
goal.
This is a hat trick
I
goal.
know this one.
Braden Point hat trick.
I want to. I saw that one too.
Let me
actually.
he just
I
flips the
thought you were
puck
gonna
out.
have some
It's what-
serious contenders
Thomas
here.
is never
That's-
allowed to pick the goals of the week ever.
That's
This
why I
is
picked them, because they're 2 unique
No,
goals
that's-
where the goalies just like
now a goal of the week.
completely gave away the goal.
But it's not a good goal.
They're hilarious.
That deserves a crown.
Keeping in mind, this is also not goal of the week. This is supposed to like effectively be our power ranking for the whole year of like what the best goal overall was. We've
So
Evan
none
Bouchard.
of these are joining.
Oh, these were funny, but like
That rip by Lindgren was an absolute howitzer.
we got Bob Saget over here. He's like, check these jokes out.
I can't
Brings
believe you guys
two
are
clips in.
banning me from picking the goal.
And you're actually banned, pal.
These were good.
Both of these. No, they weren't actually.
I think if you didn't know about these goals and you watched this podcast, you'd be like, man, that was crazy.
So
Take this guy's
Let's see what
crown away.
other
are you
goals
voting for either one of those to be the number one
They're
goal of the year?
terrible. Honestly, everyone,
Then why did we do this?
abstain from voting. That's how
Okay,
bad that
but
was.
don't you guys think it's funny that the Charlie Lindgren one in specific was Braden Point's hat trick goal?
Yes, that's a very fun piece of the lore. Of it.
Also, though, because of who had touched it first, it technically could have been Vasilevsky's goal too,
Yes.
but it hit point. So
Oh,
that would have
that's
been
kind
funny.
of
So
yeah,
no,
wish it
actually,
would've
I
been
don't.
Vasilevsky.
If Vasilevsky scored and that's how he scored, I would have voted that for goal
And
of
that's
the year.
exactly why you're banned from picking these again. Anyways, let's go crowd surfing. Jesse's already started.
Well, he's trying to
I'm
find
trying
a
to
better
find a goal.
goal.
Yeah.
No, we didn't.
you won't.
We
You
gotta
know
move
what?
on. We gotta
You know
move
what?
on.
Actually,
Makar's
this
apple
one
was
probably deserved to be up
You
there.
will
What
not
is it?
find
Let's
a
say
Kale
better goal.
McCarr literally
yeah.
like dancing
let's see.
through
How about
everybody
you pass the puck? Oh, he did pass
and
the
then
puck.
cross ice to
Everyone-
Rantanen?
Everyone chill.
This was disgusting.
Yeah.
The edge work, the quick hands, the skating ability, the vision, like
That go through his glove?
Even like before he made the pass, he like opened himself up.
yeah.
Come on, what are we
Nuts.
doing here, guys?
No,
I don't know, Thomas.
this-
what
And
are
They
we
were
doing
better than Lindgren and Samsonov.
This play right here.
Oh,
See?
yeah.
Where he just opens up.
Yeah.
here?
That's the goal of the that's the goal of the week.
You
That's
guys,
goal of the
you
week.
guys don't appreciate the art. The theme of today's episode was panicking, and I presented two goals where the goalie panics with the puck.
I think this took too long of an explanation. Like, if you started with that, I think I would have been in on it.
The irony is you had two goalie errors for our goal of the week, but it's you who had a Darcy Kemper moment right there. Took your eye right off the puck. Zach McEwen from
Zach
the blue line,
McEwen
right
just
past
ripped
you.
it on you.
Ripped it on you. Crowd surfing.
I still
92
think that's
miles an hour. Zach McEwen.
what, I think it was
92 miles per
that was
hour
102.
is so fast.
I think it was 102.
I think it was no, it was
According to
112.
who?
I think it was
I thought it
112.
was
No,
Yeah.
Aziz right. I think it was 112. Yeah.
124?
22, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
122.
sorry.
That's
132. What a rip.
92 miles per hour is so fast.
Which makes
It's
142
literally
miles
the blink
an hour
of an
even
eye.
quicker.
Exactly. Like, it's almost double.
All right, let's get out of here by reading your comments. We love your comments. You guys always have some nice jokes to tell in there because sometimes we're the joke. It needs to be mentioned in the comments. Oftentimes. Please rip Tom for that.
The best goals of the
I
week.
genuinely think some people will appreciate that.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah,
it.
interesting.
And none of them were in this room.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like you're gonna endear yourself to to the crowd.
They were
of those
funny.
two, for sure.
We had
funny.
a funniest clips of the
Yeah.
week, Mr. Saget, but
Yeah.
it's not. Actually, I don't even know. Did he do funniest videos? I don't even know anymore.
I don't know.
Let's get out of here. Here it is. Crowd surfing.
Is that the America's Funniest Home Videos game?
Yes.
Legend. The dad in Full House.
I don't know what that is.
All right. Crowd.
You know what Full House is?
Hey,
That
we're
makes
we're
sense.
crowd surfing.
Crowd surfing. David Mosher says, David Mosher at this point says, at this point, I'm pretty sure you guys shouldn't even be saying the word science. It was because of our strong.
Oh, our negatives.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were saying a double positive and negative, and we agree with you. I don't think anyone here was good at science.
I was
Or math.
I was good at both.
What was your marks?
Briefly.
What's briefly, like grade 6?
No, because when I got to grade 12, math dropped off and I failed.
So you weren't good at
Dance
it.
I tried hard in school all throughout.
And yeah, what was your average again? I think we deduced
His
that you
average
had the
was
highest.
in the 90s.
We don't have to talk about it.
His average was in the 90s.
The fetal pig exam, grade 11 biology.
Never did it.
Never did it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no?
no.
Never did it.
I dropped any science related course after grade 10.
Oh, it was not good.
I decided I wanted to do television from like grade 10, and I was out on math and science. I was like, if this doesn't work out,
It's a
see me
great
somewhere
call.
else.
That's a
Don't
great
know where.
call. Good decision.
Yeah, it worked out, I guess. Kids, don't do that. Don't roll
No,
the
follow your dreams and do it.
dice. Sure, but just don't roll the dice. Make your odds better. Dixon Bark, that's a crazy name. As Bruin, it spelled like Dixon though, like
Yeah, no,
yeah. As a,
how you said it though was
Bark.
As a Bruins fan watching this year, it looked like Monty lost the room. The boys just didn't seem to be taking to what he was saying, and I'm sure the Blues talking to him in the offseason had something to do with it. That's a good point. Also, the games after firing him have looked miles better than before. We discussed it a little bit differently, but hey, if you're a Bruins fan that feels that way, more power to you. But that's all. Hey, you never know, actually. Obviously, that one is just completely conjecture, but you never know. You know, maybe you heard your coach was thinking about leaving and things were getting a little tough. You never know. That could totally be a factor in someone's mind. The next one, though, as a Pens fan, I usually put Crosby 5th or 6th all time. That was when we did our all-time players. Yes. The usual suspects at 1 and 3, then Howe at 4, and then some combination of Crosby, Esposito, and Yager at 5 and 7. Personally, Lemieux is my number 1, but I understand that's a spicy take. I actually don't think that's a spicy take because I actually also have it that way.
100%. No way.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
I think on just like if he hadn't had the injuries, the numbers would have been closer. Like they're just, and I get that that's part of it. Not just injuries. Like I battled cancer. So, but
did Lemieux play even 1,000 games? Or did he play 9?
I think,
he played less than 1,000 games.
And just his stats just translate. Sorry, his highlights translate well too. Still, like just so nasty.
I always just viewed it as
915. You're right, Jesse. Less than 1,000.
Crazy.
1,700 points.
If we got 500 more games of Lemieux, like
you would have
the greatest of all time.
Only a plus 114, eh?
That's why this guy's not allowed to pick goals of the week.
Because he still believes plus minus is.
I don't know. Last one. I'm a Utah resident who just got into hockey recently with the hockey club coming to Salt Lake. And while I'm new to the world of hockey, I'm not new to the world of podcasts. I listen to so many all the time, and something that surprised me becoming a fan was the lack of quality pods when it came to hockey. That being said, what you have is special. I've loved discovering your channel and learning more about the sport from y'all, and I can't wait for more content to come. Thanks for all you do, from Derek Davidson. Derek, what a kind thing to say. There are many good podcasts out there as well. I hope you find those as too. But we appreciate you liking this one as well. You know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And hit that like button again.
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
Especially if you like the goals this week. You know? Seems like a lot of people like the goals. Okay. All right, I'm just going to see myself.
Please do.
All right. Thank you.